Hey there, and welcome back to our channel where we discuss topics of mental health with a focus on dissociative identity disorder and borderline personality disorder. Today we're going to be looking at DID and the recent video that the McLean hospital put out that talked about DID presentation in social media. I am pretty dissociated today and highly aggravated. So I apologize in advance if this video is a bit clunky. There will be quite a bit of reading from my notes so that I don't go off into a rant or lose track of what I'm trying to say, just because my brain is a little scattered right now. I will say this video that I am talking about, it is on the McLean Hospital's YouTube channel. I would advise not watching it. One, because we don't want to give them too many more views than what they already have. And two, because it can be a very triggering video for DID systems. I know for us, we didn't make it through the whole video. I got through most of it. I think there was like 5 or 10 minutes left of the video, but it got to the point where I was going to have a panic attack if I continued watching it. So for that reason, I would advise that you don't go and watch the video, but I am going to try to give you enough details so that you understand what's going on. Now, what happened with this video is it was kind of a call out, and it called out a lot of social media influencers who have DID. Most notably, they called out the Gianna system, Pink Sugar Fairies, the A system, and Pixie Locks. Towards the end of the video, they did showcase a couple of other creators, but like I said, we didn't watch the whole thing. But who we mentioned were the ones that were kind of upfront towards the beginning of the video. It called them out, and it said the guy who presented it is kind of a major player in the psychology department of the McLean Hospital. He's a professor of psychology in Harvard, which is concerning, and you'll understand as we go forward. And he basically was saying that all of these social media creators who say they have DID are faking it because they don't look like the patients that he sees in his clinics. And we're going to go ahead and get into that. So trigger warning for fake claiming. He does quite a bit of it. Now, full disclosure, we don't know any of the systems mentioned personally. We do follow all 4 of the systems that we mentioned. So that's just a disclosure up front. Now, there are a few positives about the video. The first is that he does describe DID as a real legitimate disorder, which is a nice change of pace over what's been kind of put out into the media recently. He does acknowledge that social media may be a way for systems to express themselves, but you can tell by his presentation that he doesn't really believe that. This actually would have been a really good presentation on DID had he not chosen to invalidate an entire community, because the information that he gives about dissociative identity disorder is very factual, it's very matter of fact, and aside from his fake claiming, I didn't find a whole lot of factual information that was wrong in the video. So now to move on to the bulk of the issue and the negatives of the video. He went on different creators' TikToks and took their videos and put them in his presentation to point out why the people in the videos were faking. And the problem with what he did is that he definitely cherry picks from the videos of the creators that he chose. He definitely chose videos that fit his narrative. He doesn't choose the videos where they explain that they are professionally diagnosed. Several of them have been diagnosed by multiple professionals. He didn't show the videos where they talk about their trauma, and he didn't show the videos where they do talk about the shame or how awful it can be to live with DID. He chose the more fun videos. So of course his opinion is going to be biased and his information is going to be biased because he chose a biased sample. The presenter's main gripe seems to be that these creators don't seem to show enough shame or embarrassment for him. Apparently all of his patients, because he does treat people with DID, God bless them, but apparently all of his patients only present with negative emotions, and that it only comes with confusion and shame and embarrassment and fear. And what an ableist view of the disorder, right? Like, I don't even understand having such a narrow view of any human. Because I went through enough trauma as a child to form DID, I am now not allowed to enjoy any aspect of my life. I must sit and wallow in despair and shame and fear for the rest of my life. That is such a nihilistic outlook on life, and it is that mindset that is the reason so many people choose to unsubscribe from life. And continuing to that narrative is so dangerous and can continue to put people in harm's way. And I have to say that if that is his mindset, if his mindset is that when you have DID, the only thing that is available for you is all of these negative emotions, no wonder all of his clients feel only shame and fear. How are you going to develop to lead a healthy life if the person treating you doesn't want you to lead a healthy life? Maybe he should take a look at his treatment methods and see if he's actually an effective therapist. So for me, fear and shame are some of the first things that we worked on in therapy after we were diagnosed, because especially for myself as the host, I definitely was very ashamed. I was very embarrassed, because it's strange because yes, all of this stuff was happening before the diagnosis, but now I was aware of it. And now I was aware of the fact that different people in my head were coming out and living my life, and that they had opinions and they had wants, and now they were voicing things that they wanted to be able to do in our life when they're fronting, and I was too embarrassed to let them do that. And I definitely was afraid. I was in constant fear of being found out. I didn't want anybody to know about the DID when we first got diagnosed. With that fear and shame, that leads to greater dissociation, a lack of system communication, and significant distress. I am now learning, and I am still in process of this. I am a work in progress. I am learning to view this diagnosis from a different lens so that I am not living in constant shame and fear. And I feel like any decent therapist should want that for their patient. I can't speak for any other creators, but I can talk about why we started making content. We are a very small creator. You would need a microscope to see our online presence. This isn't a complaint. We appreciate every single one of our followers and subscribers. And we also realize that being a smaller creator saves us from a lot of the hate and harassment that the larger creators get. So first of all, there was a lot of discussion before we started making content. We had many people that weren't comfortable with the idea. I personally was terrified. I was afraid that somebody in our real life would come across our content and we would be found out. But at the time, Veronica was being socially stifled and begged to be able to use social media as a way to kind of release that energy. We had to come up with plans on how to react in different what-if scenarios in order for Cameron to give the green light. We make the content we do because we didn't see systems online that looked and acted like us. We thought we could give a different perspective on living with DID. We are also a lot older than a lot of the creators online, And that in itself is going to be a different perspective. As we started making content, we found a lot of benefits. We started getting along a lot better as a system. Communication has improved. It gives us something to do in what is otherwise a very isolated and boring life. We have also been able to help other people, which is a big thing for me. I told Veronica when we first started that if we were going to put ourselves out there on social media, then I wanted to make sure we were a positive influence. So would this presenter prefer that we sit in a dark room wallowing in despair and dissociation and flashbacks instead of finding a way to work through this disorder in a more productive and positive manner? This video made me question myself and my diagnosis. I do some of the things that he says real people with DID don't do. Does that mean that I'm faking it despite being diagnosed twice? This video has the potential to put me right back to the start of my treatment, and that's not fair. Just because this man apparently doesn't see the value in functional multiplicity doesn't mean that our healing journey is invalid. We have worked hard to get to where we are today, and we do still have a long way to go. And we're not going to get there if all we focus on are the negatives of the DID, if all we focus on is the trauma. The brain can't handle stewing in that 24/7. You also cannot judge a person's experience based on social media. Again, I cannot speak for other creators, but I don't show the dark side of this disorder. I don't show how messy my house is because we don't have enough spoons to clean. I don't show the very major dissociation when it's so bad that we can't function and I have to call out of work because there's no way that I can perform my job duties with as dissociated as I am. I don't show the flashbacks or the panic attacks. Why would I put that stuff on social media? And not only that, when those darker things are happening, I am not in the mindset to turn on the camera and show just how devastating this disorder can be. I don't have the capability of doing that. I am constantly afraid that someday I'm going to wake up and realize that I was faking this disorder. I never want to take up space in a community that I don't belong in, which is one of the reasons I was so hesitant to talk about DID online to begin with. Is at the time I was very much in denial about the diagnosis, and I didn't want to claim a label that I didn't actually have. But can you imagine if I was faking this disorder? That would mean those bad memories didn't really happen. These voices in my head, totally imaginary. I just have to will them away. The memory gaps, I'm just not trying hard enough to remember. The different identities, I'm imagining them. I just need to focus on reality, and then those people will disappear. If only it worked that way. I've tried. All it does is make things worse. So no, I won't go back to suppressing the others. I won't go back to shutting down communication. I won't go back to not knowing what the hell is going on with me. And I certainly won't do that for some guy who would rather see his patients suffer. If you've made it through the entirety of this video, thank you so much for hanging on with me. I know that this was a little bit less fluid and polished than some of our other videos, but I wanted to get this information out while it was a hot topic in my head. I feel like it's an important thing to discuss because you can't tell if somebody has a disorder based on what they are showing on social media. And if there's anything that I want you to take away from this video, it's that. Let's uplift each other and let's realize that some of us have found a way to deal with the struggles that come with having DID. And I think it's really unfair to want to take that away from us. So thank you so much. If you'll excuse me, I'm going to go text my therapist.